Now, WJC's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome into Purple Playbook. I'm Alex Glaze, joined as always by two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith. We wrapped up mandatory camp this week. Torrey, now you got a 5-week break before the real deal in training camp. Just kind of what are guys doing during this 5-week break? It seems like a long time, but it's like, especially for the young guys, time to really get ready for that grind of training camp.
It is. It's that time of the year where you get a reset, but you get back to the grind to try to finish. So there's a fine line. This is the time where if you're on social media, you'll see guys taking vacations. They'll be around each other a little bit more as it ramps up a little closer. But for myself, I used to go to Miami to train, a way to double as a vacation, but the opportunity to go and train at Bomberitos, and you're there with probably 40, 50 other dudes across the league, and you have an opportunity to work and compete each and every day, but stay away, because it's just like when school ends. Everyone's excited for school to start, and then you're like, man, I can't wait for this to be over. And then you get that reset. You got your Christmas break, right? You got your spring break, whatever it may be, to kind of get you back going. This is that phase for the players, and now they're going to be working towards getting ready for the real thing.
Yeah, well, we know there's a whole lot of new for this team this year. As one thing you don't expect to see Lamar Jackson working out with any of the guys over the break. He already told me that's not happening. So you'll see Lamar and the guys back out there during training camp. But during mandatory camp, a lot of work was happening. A lot of attention being paid, obviously, to the offense. Declan Doyle, new offensive coordinator, and the offensive system that he's implemented. He said that he's thrown a lot at guys. And Lamar Jackson spoke this week about the challenge that it's been to take in this new offense, the new terminology, and produce at a high level.
I believe I took a lot of strides in the right direction this past week. It's a different system that I'm accustomed to being in, and I feel like it's going to be a lot of explosiveness going on this year, because the way Deck calls plays and his creativity with his mind and how detailed he is, it's like mind-blowing. So I'm excited.
This is the second week in a row we've heard guys talk about just detail and the coaching. I don't know if I want to read too much into it, but do you read anything into that? Just kind of guys like maybe subconsciously comparing to maybe the coaching that they had in the past?
No, because I feel like I had an opportunity to sit in a couple of their meetings before, and I would say they were detailed in the way they went about it, but I do think it's very easy to see that when someone's a greater communicator. Because, by the way, Todd Monken is a great communicator.
Sure. When
he leads his meetings, the way he communicates what has to be done execution-wise, I would say that aligns. But there's something about something new, right? You're seeing the creativity, you're seeing the why in a completely different system. So now it's like, oh, this is a new book that I'm reading. It's not the same old one that's kind of been reinventing the wheel a little bit. You're seeing a lot of new things, and he's really able to dial into his strengths in a way that he's never seen. So that's why we've seen Lamar as much, right? This new challenge for him, he's really trying to dive in and get it understood, and that relationship has grown. But I think you're able to see it. And the more these guys talk about him, the shorter the amount of time he's going to be here, because every time you hear players discuss him, it seems like that's a guy that you want to lead your team. Not just your unit, but to lead your team. So this is an exciting staff that they've been able to put together, and I'm excited to see what it looks like when things start flying.
Yeah, we're talking about the new offense and the details, especially. I've been out there every day, and what I can tell you is, Lamar talked about getting cussed out by Declan after making a mistake. And he took it in stride, but I mean, that just speaks to the hard coaching maybe that's coming there. But also, there was a moment where Mark Andrews had a false start, and without missing a beat, Declan pulled him out, got another tight end in there. So it's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are he has a standard, he has expectations, and if you're not holding that standard, next man up.
I love it. Sounds like how I coach. The problem is he's coaching grown men. I'm coaching little kids doing the same thing. Get out. But I think he's doing a great job, right? You talk about the standards, and when you're on elite teams, like, the standard doesn't look different for Ray Lewis than it does for the rookie on the team, right? It's the same for all the greats. And the great players and leaders want to be coached that way, right? Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen in the game if you false start? And now it was 3rd and short, and now it's sitting there in 3rd and 8. That's a big deal when it comes to offense, and it impacts the whole team, not just one person. So I love the fact that he's leaving no room for error. Understand that you can be replaced. Obviously, that's the lived experience of this league, but it's just a simple way of operating. And I'm a firm believer of that as a former player, as a coach now, that's the way to do things, because if you let the little things slide, it comes back to bite you at the end of the day.
I've been out there every day this offseason at OTAs, mandatory camps. We have my list of guys that have stood out so far at this point in the offseason. I have 5 guys up there. I was trying to go all players, but, I mean, you got to start with Declan Doyle. We talked a little bit about that. But Zion Young, a guy that has stood out to me, obviously, the rookie outside linebacker, Elijah Surratt. We're going to talk more about him in a second. Ryan Eckley, the punter. And then Keandre Jackson coming up with a big interception as well. Just Zion Young, to me, to stand out this early at a portion of the offseason where you can't be physical, but all your defensive coordinator, Anthony Weaver's talking about is how he can't wait to see the pads come on and really see what you can do. Just kind of speaks to what he's bringing to the table. I mean, I think everyone knows the speed, but the power, I think, is something that it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that for him too, but I'm also not a guy that gets excited about pass rushers and shorts. And the reason why I say that is because when those offensive linemen can actually grab your pass, they hold too, right? And so I'm anxious to see. But he is a guy that takes pride in being physical. You know who he reminds me of when I watch him? There was a guy that I had the opportunity to play in San Francisco with for just an offseason. He happened to get a little bit of trouble. But his name was Alden Smith. Lengthy, explosive, strong, right? That's a guy that, honestly, he's one of the top 5 players I've ever played with over the Hall of Famers and all. He would have been a Hall of Famer had he not gotten a little bit of trouble. So when you see a guy that plays that type of physicality, he's a Raven. We talk about a Raven and guys that you need to set the tone. He's a perfect pick for this team. I'm excited to see what he does when he gets into those pads.
And one of the underrated positions I think that people aren't talking about enough is punter. Jordan Stout, an all-pro punter. He was also the holder last year, which is a big position, obviously, when we're talking about the kicking operation as well. I had a second to talk to Randy Brown, actually, off to the side about Eckley and just kind of what his early impressions are. And this is a dude. I mean, he's out there. He's booming punts. You can see it. And I was talking to Randy about just what I had observed. And he said that they haven't even scratched the surface with the number of punts that he has in his bag. I mean, this is a guy that I think he's going to be a difference maker. And when we're talking about the holding and getting involved with Nick Moore and Tyler Loop, he also is one of the best holders in college football as well. So a big pickup for Randy Brown and the specialists.
Yeah, I think it's important to give Randy Brown his credit as well. You're talking about a guy who's been the Baltimore Ravens. When you think about football in the NFL, you talk about some of the top special teams units, you tend to think of the Ravens more often than not. And Randy Brown has been the guy that's identified so many of these players that have gone on to really make a major impact on his team. And so when you talk about a punter coming in, this is a position that the Ravens haven't had to deal with any stress for years.
Had an all-pro.
Right? You kind of just go about it like, man, you had Sam Cook for so many years. Then you transition to, like, I mean, they haven't missed when it comes to a punter that's come in and really dictate and change the game. When you play in the AFC North, that's a position that, again, you're very spoiled here in Baltimore to say, like, oh, that's just kind of, no. That is a game-changing position because field position in the division this competitive is a big deal, and it seems like you have another great one on the way.
And it's funny you say that because one thing that Randy did talk to me about is how he punted at Michigan State in the Big Ten and the elements and different things that he's had to deal with. So when you're coming over to the AFC North, you know the elements that you're going to deal with as well. So he knows what he's getting in that respect as well. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about another top story this week. Calais Campbell back in Baltimore. And he says this is going to be his last year. But he said it before. We're going to get Torrey's thoughts when Purple Playbook continues.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The winning prognosis, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
Calais Campbell back in Baltimore, his signature start to practice right there. Everyone knows what that means there. I can't believe that we're talking about Calais Campbell turning 40 years old in a couple of months and still can produce 6.5 sacks last year in Arizona. I mean, and he's saying he's talking to Anthony Weaver about a plan to try to get 30 plays this year, a game. So
I mean, he's a beast. There's no player that takes care of himself better than him. That's a guy that when I came in, training for the Combine, I used to watch him working out and I talked to him. And since the Combine, I've had a whole career. I've transitioned to a whole nother life, and he's still going, right? Talk about guys that are impressive. Playing at the age of 40 is a big deal no matter what your position is, but the quarterbacks are the guys that tend to do that. You have a Darryl Green pops up every once in a while. But to be a big guy in the trenches that's able to play at this level and still produce is a big deal. And the biggest thing for him isn't going to be his impact on the field, which he very much is still going to give you. It's that leadership ability that's going to be able to get this team going week in and week out. And you need those guys on your roster. I'm excited for him, and he's going to make some big-time plays for this team this year.
He's closer in age to his defensive coordinator than some of the guys he's playing with.
That is crazy.
On this team. But he also talked about how this year is going to be his last year. I don't know if I believe him, though.
This year, I feel like, as strongly as ever, that this is probably going to be my last year. I know I said that last year and the year before, but, I genuinely mean it at the time. But I always tell myself to play well enough to be able to get a job again if I want to. So if I go out there and perform to the level I want to play, then I'm probably going to have to turn somebody down next year. And that's the ideal scenario. If I can have a chance to play well enough where they want me again next year, and I got to tell them no. And then at that time, we'll decide if there's, if I want to play again or not. But as of right now, I'm playing this year as if it's my last year.
You know what this reminds me of? It's obviously a much different situation, but could this be a guy that comes in and maybe sparks like a special kind of season? We're talking about 2012. You remember Ray's last ride and all that. It just seems like there's something missing from Calais' career that he's looking for, and it is
it's the ring.
It's that, and if it's something that that's what seems like it's feeding him.
Yeah, and when you have a guy like that in the room discussing openly how he's played for so long, because you see him as grandpa, right? A guy that's played for so long, but he doesn't have what the team is working to get. That is a guy that you can rally around. I'll never forget being in Philadelphia, and Jason Kelsey and I are very close in age, but he used to ask questions every day. What's it like? How do you do it? What's the difference? What does the team have to be like? What does the locker room have to be like? What does it feel like to go out there and be a champion? And I think for him, obviously, having an opportunity to do it a couple times, it's a big deal. And when you see guys that have gone through, I think of great players. There was Corey Redden. He played here, was with the Lions, unfortunately, for so many years. He had barely even went to the playoffs. And we lost in the AFC Championship game, and he didn't get a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Corey Redden, excuse me. And when you come back and you think of guys who've done so much in this league where you respect their abilities, but that one thing's eluding them, that's the one thing that can definitely get some guys going, especially the guys in your room when you know, hey, each and every day, it's very easy to go through the motions. It's very easy to go through the motions of practice. It's very easy to go through games in the season and be like, it's just another one. No, you're not guaranteed another one. And when you have a guy that can really show you that, he has the math to say, hey, I played 1,000,000 years and I haven't even been there, that's a big deal. And he's a guy that I, for sure, personally would love for him to go out on top.
And the big reason why he's back in Baltimore is because of the defensive coordinator that the Ravens have in town, Anthony Weaver, back in Baltimore as well. He worked with him down in Miami, and now they're paired up again. And here is Calais talking about the relationship he has with Weave.
He's probably the main reason why I came back here. Just, having the conversation with him and, being able to, try to help him have success so that he can get, where he wants to go, is something that I take great pride in. And, hopefully, I can do my part to help him. But, I think at the end of the day, he's the first one to say he just wants to win, just wants to be part of something great, and me too, same mindset, same mentality, but he's really helped my career, helped me have longevity, and just believing in me as well, my all-time favorite coach.
Interesting because, when you look at the defense as a whole, I don't think there are guys that know what it takes to be a Raven and what it means to be a Raven on that side of the ball, right? But when you look at the outside linebacker room, right, the edge rushers, those are guys that they didn't have success last year. They really struggled. Weave obviously is very close to that position, obviously being one of those guys now. But to have a guy like Calais in that room, what do you think the impact can be when you're talking about Anthony Weaver, but now you have a player that kind of can relay that message even when Weave isn't around?
Oh, it's huge. You talk about a tone setter. That's the biggest thing. When going from Baltimore to San Francisco and then to Philadelphia and having the opportunity to win, obviously, in Baltimore and Philadelphia, the biggest difference wasn't just the coaches, right? I always say all the time, football is not rocket science. The coaches matter. But when you have guys that are leaders in that locker room that are able to take the coach's vision and are able to help hold up the standard of that team and to make sure it doesn't deviate, that's where the difference occurs. It's not just they can hire us. We can go do a great job for the Ravens. But are they going to buy in to us being the coaches? Are they going to be able to live that on a day-to-day basis?
They wouldn't buy it.
I don't know. We'd be struggling, but we would get paid, though. And it's one of those things you just don't know. And to be able to be on a team where they were figuring that out in San Francisco, to be able to finish in the team in Carolina where you were still trying to figure it out, you had a few guys but not enough. And it takes everyone to operate at a high standard in order to get it done.
Okay. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we are playing Something or Nothing. A lot of topics to get to this week. A lot of guys missing from mandatory camp. I'm going to get Torrey's thoughts on that Something or Nothing when Purple Playbook continues.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. The Bottom Line, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook. It's time for Something or Nothing. Torrey, I'm going to throw out a topic, and you tell me, of course, if it's something or nothing. We touched on it a little bit at the top of the show, but Declan Doyle cursing at Lamar Jackson. He said that it's because they were running a naked boot play, and Lamar actually pitched the ball when he wasn't supposed to. And Declan let him know about it. So is that something or nothing to you?
I think it's a bunch of nothing. That's just being coached, right? That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to demand your best, and if you're going to pitch the ball and the running back's not expecting the ball, we have a problem here, right? That's a turnover in the game. So I think it's a big deal to hold your guy to a high standard, regardless of who it is. But to me, that's nothing. That's just coaching. That's just the cost of doing business.
I'm going to say something just because I don't think we have heard about Lamar being coached like that. And it's almost like I don't want to say guys. It feels like guys were scared to coach or talk to Lamar in a certain way in the past. But clearly, Declan Doyle, for all that was made of him being 29, now 30 years old, and how's he going to gel, seems like he's got guys' respect. And clearly he has that relationship with Lamar to be able to coach him hard.
Well, I think personalities matter, right? Like, that's Declan's personality. If he would have had, let's call it, Coach Kubiak,
sure,
he used to kill Joe in practice, right? Like, he didn't care who you were. He coached everyone the same and loud, right? Which is the problem. Those are the coaches I tend to like in my career. That's why I'm like that. But, those guys, I don't think it's a big deal. His mother didn't play games with him, all right? Lamar can handle criticism. Lamar can handle someone yelling at him. So it's not a big deal. Everyone wants what's best for the team. And at the end of the day, the film doesn't lie. You can say and feel how all you want. That film's going to say, hey, this is something that can cost us a game, and it got to be fixed.
Yeah, another thing that stood out to me at camp this week, guys missing from practice. We had 9 guys missing by my count on Tuesday, 11 guys out on Wednesday. Most of the guys dealing with small injuries or illnesses, according to Jesse Mitchell. He's expecting a lot of those guys to be back by training camp. But it seems like a lot of guys to be out for your mandatory camp. Is that something or nothing to you? Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman both out for those 2 days.
I think it's a bunch of nothing. I'm not going to lie to you. I know the offseason is exciting for fans. Sorry.
Mandatory camp.
Mandatory, those 3 days are whatever. It doesn't matter until August, right? It's great to get the free work in that you can steal those days. However, it all boils down to when you walk through the doors in August, are you ready for camp? And that's what I look forward to the most, because I've been there where you watch guys and nothing's wrong with you, dude. Like, you're just not trying to practice today. You know what I mean? And now you get to the situation where you get through the off-season part, it's like phases. Guys do think in phases. That's the unwritten rule that people don't say out loud. You're like, man, I have to make it through this off-season healthy. I have to make it through this camp healthy. I have to make it through this season healthy, right? And I think the closer you get to the end of it, if you have something that's tweaked, just shut it down, get to rest, and then get ready to build up to get ready for the season.
I'm going to table it. I'm not sure if it's something or nothing yet. I'll be able to answer that in a little bit. It just seemed like a lot of guys, and because then there were also guys that were coming out in street clothes, kind of in the middle of practice. It was an interesting look. All right, last one. I actually ended the press conference asking Lamar, with everything being new and this offense and so many young guys, if there were any plans for him to, work out with guys in Baltimore or down in Florida during this 5-week break. And Lamar just kind of looked at me, laughed, and said, nah. That's all so Lamar not working out with the guys over the 5-week break, is that something or nothing for you?
It's a whole bunch of nothing, man. I will tell you this. Lamar and Zay are near each other in Florida, so they do end up working out anyway. So he's going to end up seeing them. But I think people love to see the powwows and the quarterbacks getting all the receivers together, and they operate for 2 days, 3 days, whatever it is. Yes, it's cool for a relationship. I had the opportunity to go to North Dakota with Carson Wentz.
North Dakota?
When I was in Philadelphia. Yeah, we went to North Dakota. We practiced at the University of North Dakota. Ate some of the best cheeseburgers I've ever had in my life up there.
Bison burger?
We're on a lake. Bison burger as well. We were on a lake. We had a good time together. It was great fellowship-wise. but us running routes out there, can I say, man, those routes were really the reason why we were so good? Absolutely not. It was just a great bonding experience. And again, I do think there is some value in that, but is that the end of the world? No, because I don't know if you guys know, but with Joe Flacco, we literally never did anything. So, and we won the Super Bowl, and we played very well, and our chemistry was awesome. So it's just, what do the fans want to see? Do you want to feel? People like to feel like you're trying to do something. Man, enjoy your time. Come back the best you, and then we're ready to roll in August. That's how I always felt.
I heard that. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show. You are watching Purple Playbook.
This is the Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank. Now, WJZ's Purple Playbook, brought to you by M&T Bank.
And welcome back to Purple Playbook as we wrap up the show. The guys are on a 5-week break. We don't get that luxury, but I guess we can still have some fun over the next 5 weeks. I'm looking at the weather. It's going to be hot, but I'm going to try to get some golf in the mornings. Fishing, hold on. Hold on.
I've been golfing lately. We should set that up.
I was going to say, me, you, and Q, we got to get out there.
Let's do a bar. Golfing and fishing will go down between now and camp. So
Done.
The guys going to be working out, and we're going to be doing leisure activities at a high level.
Okay, sounds good.
I don't know about I lied about golf. That's not a high level, but I'll do it.
Yeah, maybe you can give Q some pointers because he struggles sometimes.
You think Q's worse than me? Every time I go to a golf course, I've come with a whole new set of.
He gets frustrated and gets mad sometimes and kind of just shuts down. So maybe we put him kind of in the cart by himself, and we'll, because I'm all about good vibes.
Are you good at golf though?
I'm above average. I'm not. I wouldn't say.
How about we go play, and then I'm the commentator, and I can come back and tell the people about your golf game.
Sounds good. All right, that's going to do it for this week's Purple Playbook. For two-time Super Bowl champion Torrey Smith, I'm Alex Glaze. Ravens on a 5-week break. We'll be back next week. We'll see you there.